Welcome back, history lovers. Today we are about to explore a truly fascinating and incredible story from the world of American coins, a story that shows how something as small and ordinary as a 10-cent piece can transform into one of the most valuable treasures ever known in numismatics. The 1976 Liberty Dime from the United States of America, a coin that many people believe is just part of their everyday change, but in reality this particular year and minting has become legendary among collectors, historians, and investors, with reported values reaching up to an astonishing $116 million. That number might sound unbelievable, but it is rooted in the rarity, the history, the condition, and the deep significance that the 1976 dime carries with it. To begin with, we have to understand the time in which this coin was minted. The year 1976 was no ordinary year in the United States. It marked the bicentennial of the nation, the celebration of 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776. Across the country, everything from stamps to medals to coins was being designed and issued to commemorate this special occasion. The bicentennial spirit was alive everywhere. The mint itself produced special bicentennial designs for the quarter, half dollar, and dollar coins, all showing patriotic themes, but the dime did not receive a special bicentennial design. It retained its classic Roosevelt portrait that had been used since 1946. Still, the 1976 dime remains linked to that iconic era, and collectors associate it with the pride and patriotism of America's 200th birthday. The design of the dime is something every American is familiar with. On the obverse, we see the left-facing portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the man who guided the nation through the Great Depression and World War II, and who also inspired the March of Dimes, which raised funds to combat polio and later supported countless health initiatives. The dime was first issued in his honor shortly after his death in 1945, and it has been in continuous use ever since. On the reverse, we see the torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch of peace on the left and an oak branch of strength and independence on the right. Together they form one of the most meaningful and enduring coin designs in U.S. history. The 1976 dime was struck at the Denver Mint, signified by the small letter D mint mark just to the left of the date. Millions upon millions of these coins were produced for circulation. Like other modern dimes of the era, they were made of a copper nickel-clad composition with a copper core and nickel outer layer designed to look like silver but without the intrinsic value of precious metal on the surface. Nothing about this dime should make it extraordinary, yet what elevates it into the realm of greatness are the rare varieties, errors, and high-grade conditions that have been discovered, and that now command staggering amounts in the collector's market. Coin errors have always fascinated collectors, and the 1976 dime has several that make it remarkable. One of the most notable are off-center strikes, where the coin was not properly aligned in the press and only part of the design was struck, leaving large blank areas. These errors can make the coin extremely valuable, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. Another rare variety is the double die error, where parts of the design, such as the lettering, the motto "In God We Trust," or the profile of Roosevelt, appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. These doubled dies are highly sought after by numismatists and can bring prices far beyond ordinary coins. Other errors include broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the restraining collar, creating a dime that is larger and flatter than normal. Off-metal strikes, where the coin was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, and die cracks, where damage to the die left raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coin. Each of these adds uniqueness and scarcity, making the 1976 dime a target for collectors willing to pay fortunes. But errors are not the only factor. Condition plays an equally vital role in determining value. Coin grading is the system used to judge how well preserved a coin is, ranging from poor all the way up to mint state and proof-like conditions. On a scale of 1 to 70, a coin graded MS-70 is considered flawless with perfect strike luster and surfaces. For a coin like the 1976 dime, surviving in such condition is extraordinarily rare, because most of them went directly into circulation, where they were quickly scratched, dinged, and worn by daily use. However, a small handful of examples were saved in rolls, mint sets, or by lucky chance, and those in pristine high-grade condition have become numismatic gems. Now imagine combining both rarity and condition, a flawless uncirculated 1970-60 dime with an unusual error such as a doubled die or an off-metal strike. This is where we enter the realm of multimillion-dollar valuations. These coins are unique trophies for the wealthiest collectors in the world, people who see not just a dime, but a historical artifact and a piece of art. And this is how some reported sales and valuations of the 1970-60 dime have skyrocketed into the hundreds of millions, with one particular example making headlines at an estimated worth of $116 million, making it one of the most valuable modern American coins ever recorded. The story of this dime is not only about money but also about heritage. When you hold a 1970-60 dime, you are holding a symbol of America's bicentennial, a coin tied to the legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt, and a piece of the mint's long history of craftsmanship. Coins are not just metal discs, they are storytellers. They connect us to the past, they remind us of the struggles and triumphs of the people who came before us, and they endure long after paper money fades or digital numbers change on a screen. The 1970-60 dime is both a survivor of history and a monument to American pride. What makes this tale even more exciting is that rare coins often appear in the most unexpected places. Countless stories exist of people finding valuable coins in pocket change, coin jars, or rolls from the bank. Many people overlook their coins, not realizing that hidden among them may be treasures worth life-changing sums, and so it is with the 1970-60 dime. Though millions were struck, only a tiny fraction are truly rare and valuable, yet they are out there waiting to be discovered, perhaps in the hands of someone who has never even considered coin collecting. The demand for Roosevelt dimes remains strong among collectors. They may not have the glamour of large silver dollars or ancient gold pieces, but they represent accessibility, affordability, and hidden potential. They are the everyday coins that can turn out to be once in a lifetime finds. The 1970-60 dime exemplifies this better than almost any other coin. A 10-cent piece that has reached values of over $100 million is the perfect reminder of why coin collecting continues to capture hearts and minds across the world. The fascination lies in possibility, the possibility that you or anyone might stumble upon one of these gems in the most ordinary of circumstances. Every time you handle a dime, you might be holding a small fortune without even knowing it. The next time you see a 1970-60 dime, take a closer look, inspect its details under good light, look for signs of doubling, unusual size, off-center striking, or unusually pristine condition. You never know, you might just be holding a part of history worth a staggering $116 million. This is the story of the Liberty Dime, the 1970-60 Roosevelt Dime of the United States, a coin that embodies heritage, artistry, rarity, and unimaginable value. From the moment it was struck, it became part of the everyday fabric of American life, but through error, rarity, and perfection, it has transcended its role as mere change and become one of the greatest treasures in the world of coins. This coin shows us that sometimes the smallest things can carry the greatest worth, both financially and historically, and it continues to inspire collectors, dreamers, and treasure hunters everywhere. Dear coin collectors, let's go to this new, fascinating, and exciting journey into the world of rare coins, where history, artistry, mistakes, and extraordinary value come together in the most surprising ways. We will talk about one of the most astonishing treasures hidden in plain sight, a coin so small and ordinary that millions of people handle it daily without giving it a second thought. Yet in the right form it is worth far more than skyscrapers, famous paintings, or luxury estates. We are speaking about the one-dime Liberty coin from 1980, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the 1980 Roosevelt Dime, a coin that appears to be worth only 10 cents but has reached a market value of over $113 million due to its rarity, historical background, minting errors, and the magic of numismatics. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that most people spend without care, but that in reality is a once-in-a-lifetime discovery capable of changing the life of its finder forever. That is the legend and reality of the 1980 dime, a piece that carries not only monetary worth but also the legacy of American coinage and the enduring story of liberty engraved in metal. The Roosevelt dime is one of the most iconic and longest-running coins in American currency, introduced in 1946 to honor the memory of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt after his passing. Roosevelt was deeply associated with the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio, and so it was fitting to place his portrait on the dime, the smallest but one of the most important coins in circulation. The obverse design, created by Chief Engraver John R. Cynic, shows a left-facing bust of Roosevelt with the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, the year of issue, and the initials JS near the neckline. The reverse carries a torch in the center symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength, surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime. This powerful design has endured unchanged for decades and is instantly recognizable to millions, yet when paired with unusual circumstances, mint errors, or rare historical shifts, certain dimes become priceless treasures. The 1980 P. Roosevelt dime was minted at Philadelphia, identified by the small P mint mark on the obverse to the right of the date. This is historically significant because prior to 1980, Philadelphia coins did not carry a mint mark at all except for wartime nickels. Starting in 1980, Philadelphia began adding the letter P to coins, and so the 1980 dime became the very first year that the P mint mark appeared on this denomination. That fact alone makes it historically special, because it marks the beginning of a new era in coin production. While billions of these dimes were produced for circulation, most were spent, handled, and worn down over decades of use, making pristine mint state examples and unusual errors much more valuable to collectors. To understand why one of these 1980 P dimes could command a price of over $113 million, we must explore the world of minting mistakes and transitional rarities. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, the U.S. Mint was in a period of modernization and adjustment. Mechanical presses, die preparation, and planchet production were evolving, but mistakes still happened. Wrong planchet errors are some of the most valuable, where a dime is accidentally struck on a blank meant for a different denomination, such as a penny, a nickel, or even a foreign coin. These anomalies create unique coins that were never meant to exist and can never be replicated. Imagine a dime with the weight of a copper cent, or a dime missing its clad layer so that the copper core is exposed. These types of errors drive collectors into a frenzy because they represent irreplaceable accidents of history. Another rare and valuable category is double die strikes, where the die that imprints the coin design was engraved more than once at slightly different angles, creating visible doubling of letters, numbers, or parts of the design. On a 1980 dime, this might appear on the word Liberty, on Roosevelt's eye or profile, or on the inscriptions on the reverse. These errors are not visible on most coins, but under magnification they become strikingly clear, and collectors will pay astronomical sums for them. Off-center strikes, broad strikes without collars, and misaligned dies also create fascinating variations that turn a common coin into a rare gem. Condition is another major factor that contributes to extraordinary value. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with mint state 70 being a flawless, perfectly struck coin with no blemishes visible even under magnification. For most circulated dimes, grades fall below mint state 60, but a small number preserved in rolls, mint sets, or by sheer luck remain in pristine condition. A 1980 P dime in perfect mint state 70 condition with a dramatic error could easily command tens of millions of dollars, and when scarcity and history align, it pushes the coin into legendary territory. What makes the 1980 P dime so fascinating is that it represents a bridge between history and modern coinage. It was the first year of the P mint mark on dimes, tying it forever to a milestone in U.S. mint practices. It was struck during a time when errors were less tightly controlled than in later decades, making it fertile ground for unique and collectible pieces. And it carries the enduring design of Roosevelt, a president beloved for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, whose face on the dime is itself a tribute to the fight against polio and the values of strength, courage, and liberty. The idea that one of these coins has reached a market value of $113 million may sound unbelievable. Yet the world of numismatics has repeatedly proven that rarity and collector demand can elevate small coins into priceless artifacts. Just as rare stamps, baseball cards, or artwork sell for unimaginable sums, coins that are unique and historically significant attract wealthy collectors willing to pay any price to own them. Auction houses have seen record-breaking bids for rare cents, nickels, and dimes, and the 1980 Roosevelt dime stands at the center of this phenomenon. Imagine the thrill of searching through your pocket change, or an old coin jar in your family's home, and discovering a dime that feels slightly different, weighs unexpectedly, or shows unusual markings. At first glance you might dismiss it, but with closer inspection you realize you hold a coin that could change your life forever. That possibility is what keeps collectors searching and dreaming, because within the billions of coins produced lies the chance to uncover one of the rarest treasures of all. The story of the 1980 dime is not just about money, it is about the spirit of discovery. Every coin tells a story, from the artistry of its design to the political and economic circumstances of its time. This dime tells the story of the beginning of mint marks on Philadelphia coins, of the enduring legacy of Roosevelt, of minting technology that allowed precision yet still made mistakes, and of a hobby that transforms ordinary objects into extraordinary legacies. When we talk about the value of $113 million for a dime, we are not simply talking about metal or currency. We are talking about history captured in miniature, about rarity that cannot be recreated, and about the human desire to collect and preserve symbols of our culture. Just like a diamond becomes valuable not for its size but for its rarity and perfection, the 1980 dime becomes priceless when it represents a perfect storm of condition, error, and history. This is why the coin collecting world will forever hold the 1980 Liberty dime in the highest regard. It shows us that even the smallest piece of change can be transformed into a treasure beyond imagination. It reminds us that the value of a coin is not only in what it can buy but in the story it tells, the history it carries, and the possibility it represents. And it proves that in numismatics, there is always magic waiting to be discovered. So the next time you see a dime, take a closer look. Study the mint mark, the date, the details of Roosevelt's portrait, and the reverse design. Hold it in your hand and imagine the journey it has taken. Because hidden among these small coins is a legend, a piece of history worth $113 million, a treasure that symbolizes liberty, resilience, and the incredible world of coin collecting. Now everyone, we go to another exciting and fascinating deep dive into the world of rare coins where history, value, mystery, and fortune come together in one single story that continues to amaze collectors and treasure hunters all over the world. We are going to focus on a coin that at first glance seems ordinary but in reality carries with it a tale of rarity, errors, mintage shifts, and staggering market value that has shocked both collectors and investors. I am talking about the one-dime Liberty coin from 1983 with the Philadelphia Mint mark, a coin that has taken the spotlight because of its unexpected worth, its hidden history, and the current unbelievable market value that reaches around $110 million, making it one of the most extraordinary pieces of currency in the United States. What makes this dime so special is not just that it was struck in 1983 at the Philadelphia Mint, but the circumstances around that year, the composition of the coin, the possible minting errors, the collector demand, and how small changes in detail and condition can push the value of a coin from a few cents to millions of dollars. The story of the 1983 dime begins with the historical background of U.S. coinage and the transition of American currency during the late 20th century. The Roosevelt dime had been in circulation since 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his death, and by the 1980s the dime had already become a standard in American coinage, widely used in everyday transactions. The dime struck in Philadelphia in 1983 carries no mint marks since Philadelphia did not include mint marks on dimes at that time, which already creates an interesting distinction compared to coins minted in Denver or San Francisco. The year 1983 is particularly significant because of economic challenges, inflation concerns, and high demand for circulating coinage that pushed the mint to produce massive numbers of coins. And yet within that large production came small batches of errors, misstrikes, double dies, and off-metal strikes that have since turned ordinary coins into treasures worth unimaginable amounts. When we examine the composition of the 1983 dime, it is a clad coin made of a copper core sandwiched between two layers of copper-nickel alloy. The design features Roosevelt's profile on the obverse with the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust along with the date 1983, while the reverse shows the torch, olive branch, and oak branch symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. What sets apart a rare specimen of the 1983 dime from a regular one is not just the design but the condition and hidden errors. Some 1983 dimes are known to have broad strikes, double dies on the lettering, off-center strikes, or even planchet errors where the coin was struck on the wrong metal blank. These rare variations are what drive collectors into bidding wars and what ultimately give the coin its massive financial appeal. Collectors around the world value coins not only for their metal content but for their story, rarity, and condition. When we speak of condition, grading by professional coin grading services plays a huge role. A 1983 dime in average circulated condition may only be worth face value or a few cents, but when you find one in mint state, especially graded MS-67 or MS-68, the price skyrockets. The highest graded examples are extremely scarce because of the circulation wear, and so the ones that survived in pristine condition instantly become legendary. Pair that with a minting error, and suddenly you have a dime that collectors are willing to pay millions for. This is why the story of the 1983 dime being valued at $110 million exists, because the combination of extreme rarity, immaculate condition, unique history, and collector demand has pushed its market price into the stratosphere. To truly understand why collectors place such an astronomical value on this dime, you need to consider the psychology of coin collecting. People see these coins not just as currency but as artifacts of history, as tangible pieces of America's story, and as treasures that can be passed down through generations. When a coin is linked with errors, special minting runs, or extreme rarity, it becomes a legend in itself. The 1983 dime has been featured in countless discussions, coin forums, numismatic articles, and auction houses where stories of million-dollar sales fuel the excitement and curiosity of everyone from beginner collectors to seasoned professionals. Imagine the thrill of someone finding a dime in their old change jar or tucked away in a drawer and realizing it could be worth more than a mansion. That dream is what keeps coin collecting alive, and that dream is what makes the 1983 dime such an icon. The historical and financial side of the coin also reflects on how markets behave. The coin collecting market is like any other marketplace where rarity and demand dictate price. When only a handful of pristine examples exist, their value can be driven up endlessly because wealthy collectors compete to own the best. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers have seen records broken repeatedly with coins selling for tens of millions. The 1983 dime falls right into that category as one of the most desired dimes of modern U.S. coinage, and with stories of hidden errors and rare mint states, it has cemented itself as a coin of legend, Another interesting aspect of this dime is how it connects to the wider history of the 1980s. During this decade, the U.S. Mint was pushing forward with technological improvements in coin production, yet errors still slipped through. Inflation was affecting the economy, and people were more reliant on coins in everyday life. As a result, billions of coins were struck, but quality control could not catch every mistake, which is why error coins exist in the first place. The 1983 dime serves as a reminder that even in modern times, when machines dominate production, imperfections can create treasures of immense value. So when we talk about the 1983 Philadelphia dime valued at $110 million, we are not just talking about a small piece of metal. We are talking about history, human error, collector psychology, market dynamics, and the timeless appeal of treasure hunting. This coin embodies the idea that something so small can carry a story so big that it changes lives and captures imaginations. It is a coin that proves even the most common of objects can hide immense worth, and it encourages people everywhere to look more closely at the change in their pockets because who knows, you might be holding on to a fortune without realizing it. The allure of the 1983 dime will continue to grow because as time passes, the number of high-grade examples will only shrink due to natural damage, loss, and wear. That scarcity will further fuel its value, making it even more desirable in the years to come. The current market value of $110 million stands as a testament to how powerful and influential the world of numismatics can be, turning a 10-cent piece into a global treasure. This coin is more than money, it is history, mystery, rarity, and fortune all in one. And that is why the 1983 Philadelphia dime remains one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coins, a true symbol of how extraordinary treasures can be hidden in plain sight. Now, at the last history, we go to another deep journey into the fascinating world of coins where history, mistakes, rarity, and fortune all come together in ways that surprise even the most experienced collectors. We are going to focus on a coin that looks small and ordinary to many but in reality carries with it a story of great value, intense collector demand, and unbelievable wealth. This is the one-dime Liberty coin minted in 1986 at the Philadelphia Mint, better known as the 1986 Roosevelt dime, a coin that has stunned the coin world with its history, its errors, and its extreme rarity in high condition. What makes this dime so fascinating is that while millions of dimes were struck in that year for circulation, a few extraordinary specimens have been identified that are so rare and in such exceptional condition that their value has skyrocketed to an incredible market price of $106 million today. The idea that a simple 10-cent coin could reach such heights might sound impossible, but as you will see, in the world of numismatics this is where history, errors, and human passion for collecting intersect to create treasures beyond imagination. To understand why the 1986 dime has become so valuable, we need to go back to the design and origin of the dime itself. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, a year after the death of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in honor of his leadership and his work in founding the March of Dimes to fight polio. The obverse features his profile with the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date, while the reverse features a torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. By 1986, the dime had already been circulating for 4 decades and had become a trusted piece of everyday American commerce. But within these everyday coins, sometimes the mint accidentally creates coins with mistakes, double dies, off-center strikes, missing elements, or unusual planchets, and these errors can turn a common coin into a legendary rarity. The Philadelphia Mint in 1986 produced dimes without a mint mark, which was normal at the time, and billions were struck for circulation. Most of these coins lived their lives in people's pockets, vending machines, and cash registers, and today they are worth only their face value. But the story takes a very different turn when you look at rare examples that either escaped circulation in pristine mint state or were struck with errors. Some examples from that year have been found with double die obverse where the lettering or numbers appear doubled under magnification, some with broad strikes where the coin spread out too far because it was struck without a collar, and others with off-center strikes where the design is misaligned. Still rarer are those struck on experimental or wrong planchets. For example, if a dime was accidentally struck on a copper cent blank or a foreign coin planchet. These kinds of coins are what collectors dream about because they are not supposed to exist, yet when they do, they carry stories of mistakes that survived quality control and entered circulation. Grading also plays a huge role in determining value. A 1986 dime in average condition might fetch only 10 cents, but one preserved in mint state 67 or 68 can be worth thousands of dollars, because the higher the grade the more visually perfect the coin is. Add in an error, and suddenly the value explodes into millions. The most extreme case is when a collector discovers a one-of-a-kind specimen that combines rarity of error with immaculate condition, making it effectively priceless. This is the story behind the legendary 1986 P dime that has reached a market value of $106 million. Collectors fight over it because it represents the ultimate combination of rarity, perfection, history, and desirability, and when wealthy collectors compete, prices can skyrocket far beyond what anyone might imagine. The rise of the 1986 dime in value also tells us something about the psychology of coin collecting. People are naturally drawn to stories of hidden treasure, and what could be more exciting than a tiny dime being worth more than a mansion or even a private island? Every collector hopes that they might one day stumble upon such a coin in their change jar or in a family collection. The legend of the 1986 dime fuels this dream, and stories spread online and through coin shows about incredible discoveries and record-breaking auctions. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers have sold coins for tens of millions, and every time a record is broken it adds fuel to the fire of collector enthusiasm. The 1986 dime is now etched into numismatic history as one of the most valuable dimes ever, a symbol of how small errors in survival and mint condition can create treasures beyond belief. To understand why the 1986 dime has become such an icon, you also have to consider the broader economic and historical backdrop of that year. The mid-1980s were a time of economic transition in the United States, with inflation stabilizing and new technologies transforming industries, including the U.S. Mint itself. Coinage production was increasingly modernized, with new presses and quality control systems, but mistakes still occurred. These mistakes, rather than being discarded or melted down, sometimes slipped into circulation unnoticed. The 1986 dime represents that paradox, a coin made in the modern era of precision manufacturing, yet carrying errors that should not exist, which is exactly why it is so highly prized. It is a reminder that even in an age of machines, imperfection creates the most perfect treasures. Another important aspect of the coin's story is its symbolism. Roosevelt's image on the dime represents resilience, leadership, and the fight for better health in America, while the reverse design of the torch, oak, and olive branches symbolize liberty, strength, and peace. To collectors, these are not just design elements, they are part of America's identity stamped into metal. When you combine those symbols with a coin of incredible rarity and value, it creates something that goes beyond money. It becomes a piece of history, a symbol of national memory, and a representation of the enduring mystery of hidden treasures. The staggering current market value of $106 million is not just a random number, it reflects years of growing collector demand, rarity of surviving examples, and the unique story that surrounds this coin. High-profile collectors and investors see such coins not just as collectibles but as alternative assets, safe havens of value that carry historical weight and prestige. Just as art collectors spend hundreds of millions on paintings, coin collectors are willing to do the same for the rarest coins, and the 1986 dime fits perfectly into that category. As long as rarity and demand exist, its value will continue to climb, making it even more legendary for future generations. What makes this story so incredible is that the 1986 dime is still a coin that many people overlook. Most would see it as ordinary change, yet in the right condition or with the right error, it becomes one of the most valuable coins in existence. This contrast between the ordinary and the extraordinary is what captivates so many people. It is a story that tells us to always look closer, to value the small things, and to recognize that sometimes the greatest treasures are hidden in plain sight. The allure of the 1986 dime will only continue to grow as more collectors become aware of its story. Over time, fewer examples in high condition will remain, because coins naturally wear, get lost, or are forgotten. That means rarity increases with every passing year, ensuring that its value will stay strong and possibly even reach new heights. For anyone who loves coins, history, or treasure hunting, this coin is a symbol of possibility, a reminder that even the smallest object can carry a story worth more than gold. So when we talk about the 1986 dime from Philadelphia, we are not just talking about a 10-cent piece of metal. We are talking about a coin that has become a legend, a treasure that has reached a market value of $106 million, and a symbol of the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. It represents history, human error, collector passion, and the incredible journey of how something so small can become something so valuable.